Welcome back to the showdown between Scarlet Witch and Raven. In this confrontation between Scarlet Witch and Raven, the daughter of the demon Trigon, even in their base forms, both characters are far more than just superheroines with powers. They are entities wielding forces capable of reshaping, shattering, or recreating the entire fabric of the multiverse. Scarlet Witch, Wanda Maximoff, is the embodiment of chaos magic, a primordial force intrinsically tied to the creation and destruction of Marvel's reality. Meanwhile, Raven, Rachel Roth, is the daughter of an interdimensional demon, possessing soul self and dark magic abilities that rival the highest cosmic entities of the DC universe. Who will be the last one standing? To find out, we need to delve deep into their origins and the nature of their powers. In short, let's get started.
First up is Scarlet Witch. Scarlet Witch, or Wanda Maximoff, is one of the most complex, tragic, and formidable entities in existence. She did not begin with greatness, but rather with cascading tragedies, the manipulation of fate, and a bloodline carrying a curse from the very dawn of the universe. Wanda and her twin brother Pietro were born at Wundagore Mountain, the prison of the elder god Chthon, the first malevolent entity and the creator of dark magic on Earth. Their mother, Magda, fled Wundagore Mountain upon seeing Wanda's congenital abnormalities. She was born with extra fingers, a sign of latent magical power, and the apparition of Chthon. In her panic, Magda abandoned the children and died shortly thereafter. Wanda and Pietro were raised by the Romani couple, Django and Maria Maximoff, but Wanda's destiny was sealed from the cradle. Chthon had manipulated the time stream, orchestrating events so that Wanda would become the perfect vessel for his power, turning her into a Nexus being. However, as the Marvel Universe expanded, the true nature of her power was revealed. Wanda is one of the Nexus beings of the Marvel multiverse. A Nexus being is an entity that acts as an anchor for the entire reality of a universe. If a Nexus being dies or loses control, the entire multiverse could collapse or be rewritten. Wanda's power is not merely magic, it is chaos magic, the primordial energy that existed before the universe was formed, representing disorder, the potential for transformation, and the violation of physical laws. Wanda wields hex bolts. Initially, these crimson energy projections simply altered probability, but as Wanda matured and became aware of her power, her hex bolts became miniature reality manipulation tools. She can turn air into stone, detonate molecules, or bend gravity with a flick of her wrist. Wanda also possesses extremely high-level telepathy and telekinesis, though she often doesn't rely on them as they are insufficient to contain her chaotic essence. She can create force fields capable of withstanding attacks from cosmic entities and can teleport instantaneously across dimensions. However, the pinnacle of Scarlet Witch's power lies in her reality warping. When Wanda's emotions exceed her threshold of control, she no longer merely alters probability, she alters reality itself. The events of Avengers Disassembled and the climax, House of M, are testaments to this. In House of M, with just 3 words, "No more mutants," Wanda rewrote the entire reality of Earth, stripping the mutant gene from millions and altering the biological structure of an entire race. She created an alternate universe where she was queen, and when that universe was broken, she still had the ability to restore or change it. Her power in this state is not limited by distance or time. She can turn a person into water, erase a cosmic entity from existence, or create life from nothingness. Regarding her durability, Wanda is fundamentally still human. She does not possess superhuman physical strength or skin density like Hulk or Superman. However, she frequently encases her body in a magical force field that renders her impervious to most physical and energy attacks. She can fly, move at supersonic speeds, and endure the harshest environments in the universe thanks to this energy armor. But if this armor is breached, her physical body is highly vulnerable. Her greatest weakness, and also her greatest tragedy, is her mind. Wanda is not a warrior tempered over centuries like Doctor Strange, nor a detached entity like Dr. Fate. She is a human being carrying extremely severe psychological trauma. The deaths of her parents, the death of her brother Pietro, and especially the loss of her children, created from magic and the soul of Mephisto, and her husband Vision, pushed her mind to the brink of insanity. Wanda's power is directly tied to her emotions. When she is grieving, angry, or desperate, her chaos magic surges and spirals out of control. This psychological instability makes her susceptible to manipulation by cunning enemies, and her own power is sometimes what harms her the most. She is constantly fighting not just her enemies, but her own mind. However, Wanda has undergone a journey of atonement and self-discovery. She learned to accept her trauma, understand the true nature of chaos magic, and achieve a state of complete control without having to sacrifice her emotions. In this enlightened state, Wanda is no longer a ticking time bomb, but a true goddess of reality, a protector of the multiverse's structure. She has confronted and held her own against entities such as the Phoenix Force, Thanos wielding the Infinity Gauntlet, and has even faced Chthon himself. Wanda is one of the very few characters capable of tearing apart the rules of the universe and rewriting them according to her will. She doesn't just use magic, she is magic. Now, let's move on to Raven. Rachel Roth is one of the most psychologically complex and metaphysically formidable characters in the DC Comics universe. She is the daughter of Arella, a naive human girl, and Trigon, one of the most powerful, brutal, and terrifying demons in the DC multiverse. Trigon violated Arella, and Rachel was born. Recognizing the destructive power latent within her child, and knowing that Trigon would use Rachel as a portal to invade and annihilate the multiverse, Arella took her daughter to the dimension of Azarath, a reality created by pacifist monks, a place free from violence and negative emotions. In Azarath, Rachel was raised by the monks under the guidance of the master Azar. She was taught to suppress all emotions, especially anger, fear, and love, because any emotional outburst could awaken the demonic blood within her and pave the way for Trigon's incursion. The famous incantation Azarath Metrion Zinthos is not merely a spell to cast magic, but a method of meditation, a psychological anchor she uses to keep her soul pure and her dark magic under control. Raven's abilities are not based on bending the laws of physics like Wanda's, but on the manipulation of souls, emotions, and dimensions. Her core power is her soul self. Raven can separate her soul from her physical body. In this form, she becomes intangible, invisible, capable of moving through solid matter, traveling across dimensions, and even entering the minds of others. Her soul self can be used to attack an enemy's soul directly, inflicting damage that no physical armor can block. She can absorb the physical and mental pain of others to heal them, but this means she must endure that pain herself. Raven's combat powers include telekinesis and empathy. Her empathic ability is an extremely potent weapon. She can not only read the emotions of others, but also manipulate, amplify, or drain them entirely. She can render an enraged enemy paralyzed with fear or drain their life force by sapping their will to live. But Raven's true power, and also her greatest curse, lies in the blood of her father, Trigon. When Raven loses control, or when she deliberately unlocks her power, she becomes a multiversal entity with destructive force rivaling that of her father. In this state, often referred to as Dark Raven, or when possessed by Trigon, her power extends far beyond the scope of Earth. She can annihilate galaxies, manipulate time and space on a cosmic scale, and confront entities such as the Endless or the New Gods. Trigon is not just a monster, he is a concept, the embodiment of the destruction, lust, and sins of billions of living beings. When Raven harnesses this power, she becomes a goddess of destruction. However, the pinnacle of Raven's power lies in her White Raven state. During the Blackest Night event and beyond, when Raven accepted both the darkness and the light within herself, she achieved a state of enlightenment. White Raven wields the power of light magic, a force that serves as the counterbalance to Trigon's dark magic. In this state, her power is no longer one of destruction, but of creation, purification, and protection. White Raven can resurrect the dead, purify malevolent entities, and create magical shields, capable of protecting an entire galaxy from the incursions of Darkseid or the Anti-Monitor. She becomes a nearly omnipotent entity. Physically, like Wanda, Raven does not possess superhuman physical strength. However, she frequently uses telekinesis to protect her body, creating layers of dark energy shields. She can withstand physical damage to a certain extent by transmuting it into magical energy, but if caught off guard without her protective barriers, she is vulnerable. The constant need to suppress her emotions is an immense psychological burden. If she loses focus, or if an enemy can provoke anger, fear, or despair within her, Trigon will have an opportunity to rise. Additionally, Raven's power is intrinsically linked to the soul and emotions. Enemies with no emotions, or entities that exist beyond the concept of a soul, such as certain abstract cosmic entities, are difficult for her to manipulate with empathy. However, Raven has proven that even when facing such entities, her pure dark magic is still powerful enough to tear through reality. Raven is a calm, collected warrior with an exceptionally keen ability to analyze situations. First of all, we have the two greatest sorceresses. A battle between Scarlet Witch and Raven is a showdown between two women. If we consider pure destructive power and the ability to manipulate reality at a base level, Scarlet Witch has a distinct advantage in terms of Hack's special abilities that transcend logic. Wanda's chaos magic allows her to rewrite the laws of physics, alter probability, and turn the impossible into the possible. In her normal state, Raven primarily relies on telekinesis, her soul self, and empathy. If Wanda decided to alter reality to turn Raven's blood into water, or to erase the very dimension Raven is standing in from existence, Raven would face extreme difficulty defending herself through conventional physical means. Wanda can produce hex bolts capable of breaking through Raven's magical barriers by altering the nature of the magic itself. In a direct energy confrontation, the explosiveness and disorder of chaos magic often overwhelm the control and order of dark magic. And this is where Raven shines. Scarlet Witch's fatal weakness has always been her mind and emotions. Raven, with her cosmic-level empathy, can sense the psychological trauma, sorrow, and chaos within Wanda's mind. Raven doesn't need to defeat Wanda with physical force. She can attack the soul and mind of the Scarlet Witch directly. In a psychological battle, Raven can use her soul self to infiltrate Wanda's mind. Wanda possesses telepathy and can erect mental barriers, but Raven's magic is not just ordinary telepathy, it is soul manipulation. Raven can absorb Wanda's pain, but what is more dangerous is that she can amplify the chaos in Wanda's mind. If Raven inadvertently triggers memories of the deaths of Vision, Tommy, and Billy, or pushes Wanda into a state of extreme despair, Wanda's chaos magic will spiral out of control. When Wanda loses control, she is no longer a warrior, but a natural disaster. Yet, this very loss of control is when she is most vulnerable. Raven, with her tranquility and absolute emotional control forged in Azarath, can act as an anchor to absorb and neutralize that magical outburst. Raven has faced and subdued Trigon, a multiversal evil entity representing all sin and destruction. Compared to Trigon, the chaos within Wanda's mind, though immense, is still within a realm Raven can understand and manage. If we pit the House of M Scarlet Witch, the entity who rewrote the entire Marvel multiverse, against White Raven, the entity wielding light magic, capable of purifying and protecting the DC multiverse, the battle would transcend the concept of a normal fight. At this level, both are omnipotent entities within the scope of their respective universes. House of M Wanda could erase Raven's existence with a single thought, but White Raven, with the power of light magic, exists beyond the conventional concepts of destruction and creation. White Raven's soul can exist independently of physical reality. If Wanda were to erase reality, Raven's soul self could still persist in the void and recreate reality. However, if we consider a state where both are at their peak performance but still retain consciousness, in character, peak-controlled state, Raven holds an extremely crucial, subtle advantage: the nature of their power. Wanda's chaos magic, no matter how powerful, is still a part of the Marvel multiverse's structure. It abides by the laws of the Living Tribunal and other abstract entities. Wanda is a Nexus being, but she is still a part of the universe. Meanwhile, Raven's power, especially when she connects with Trigon or achieves the White Raven state, is transcendent in nature. The legacy of Trigon is not just power. It is a concept that exists outside of and parallel to the DC multiverse. Furthermore, in terms of tactics and psychological stability, Raven is vastly superior. Wanda is a magical prodigy, but she often lets emotion override reason. Raven is a master of meditation and self-control. In a battle where a single moment of distraction could lead to the destruction of the multiverse, Raven's calmness is a lethal weapon. Wanda can unleash attacks with reality-shredding power, but Raven, with her ability to teleport across dimensions and use her soul self to become intangible, can evade or absorb those attacks into other dimensions. Chaos magic is the power of disorder, of change and destruction. It is incredibly powerful on the offensive but lacks stability. Raven's magic, whether dark or light, is based on the connection between the soul, emotions, and dimensions. It is more absorptive and transformative in nature than purely destructive. In a protracted confrontation, Wanda would have to continuously expend life force and willpower to maintain control over chaos magic, while Raven can absorb energy from the environment, from her opponent's emotions, and from the dimension of Azarath itself. In conclusion, Scarlet Witch is an entity with a higher level of destructive power and reality manipulation in a direct energy confrontation. If Wanda strikes first and is determined to erase Raven immediately, she could do so, but Raven is not a stationary target. With her absolute emotional control, soul manipulation abilities, and the legacy of a multiversal entity, Raven has the capacity for defense, evasion, and counterattack on a metaphysical level that Wanda would struggle to reach. Therefore, in my opinion, in an all-out battle, Raven would be the last one standing. She would not try to defeat Wanda with destructive force, but would instead use her soul self to infiltrate Wanda's mind and soul, absorb or neutralize the chaos, and bring Wanda back to a state of tranquility. The Scarlet Witch may be the queen of reality, but it is the Dark Raven who holds the keys to the soul and the shadows. What do you all think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. Please remember to subscribe to the channel. Thank you all so much.